Welcome to the official YouTube channel for the Colin Cowherd podcast. Go on, hit the subscribe button. There you go, right down there. You want to be among the first to hear my weekly takes, NFL, college football, more, right there. Well, how about an instant reaction to an unexpectedly, wildly entertaining New York Giants win over the Green Bay Packers, 24-22. Let's all have a bowl of pasta fazool for Tommy DeVito. That was crazy. First of all, if you're a Green Bay Packer fan, you're bummed out. But that game had trouble written all over it. I had said on FS1 today, I thought the Packers would win close, but I thought it was going to be choppy. So you just beat the Super Bowl champs at Lambeau. You got the youngest team in the league. Your deep threat, Christian Watson's not there. You're feeling yourself. You beat the Lions and the Chargers and the Chiefs. You're feeling yourself. You go in now as a favorite on Monday Night Football with a really young team. Tommy DeVito is playing pretty well, bit of a gamer. And the Giants defense can make plays. They made some really nice plays in the secondary. So that game had trouble written all over it. I thought the Packers, how many near touchdowns did they have before they finally got that one to take the lead with a couple minutes left? So it happens. It's really hard in the NFL with a young team, especially, to play great 4 straight weeks. That's really hard. If you would have asked Matt LaFleur privately, I think he would have told you this game scares the heck out of him. So, it's just one of those, you go in as a big favorite with a young team. You played great 3 weeks in a row. It just happens. And this game, listen, in a weird way, the Giants should have won it because if Saquon Barkley on that odd fumble, you don't see that very often. If he didn't fumble there and they kick a field goal or get a touchdown, and the Giants were moving the ball in the second half on Green Bay repeatedly. They were moving the football. There's a good chance they score a touchdown with the mobility of Tommy DeVito. They had to put that game away there. So they had to come back from behind, make some plays. But so don't lose a lot of sleep if you're a Packer fan. This is a good team. It's a young team. It's an athletic team. They're going to score some points. Defense did not play great in the second half, but Green Bay's okay. I think they're going to be a playoff team. But I want to talk about Tommy DeVito. So, great high school player from the area, little college star, right? Tommy DeVito does not succeed if he has a defensive coach. Okay. Now, Seahawks with a backup quarterback, Steelers with a backup quarterback, New England with a backup quarterback, and until this weekend, the Jets with backup quarterbacks. A complete S show, defensive coaches. Yet Atlanta with a backup, Indianapolis with a backup, Cleveland with Joe Flacco, the Giants with Tommy DeVito, all offensive coaches, remain viable. There is no question defensive coaches can win football games if they've got a good quarterback. But when you urgently have to make it up in the middle of a season, you get a backup quarterback. I do not think defensive coaches are equipped to handle it. It is not a coincidence that 11 of the 14 current playoff teams have offensive coaches. That is not a coincidence. It is also not a coincidence that the 3 most improved offenses in the National Football League in the second half of the season are the Rams, the Broncos, and the Green Bay Packers. All offensive coaches. Come on. It's not a coincidence. Tommy DeVito, you give him Mike Tomlin. Look at the Steelers. They have Mitch Trubisky as a backup. Mitch Trubisky made the playoffs twice in Chicago, not a well-run organization, with offensive coach Matt Nagy, who got fired. Okay, made the playoffs twice. Aaron Rodgers was in his prime in that division, and Mitch Trubisky, they had a good defense, but Kirk Cousins was in his prime. Aaron Rodgers in his prime. Matt Stafford was in that division at the time, close to his prime. And Mitchell frickin' Trubisky made the playoffs twice. He goes to Pittsburgh, disaster, unwatchable, can't get first downs. It's not luck. It's not what Brian Daboll is doing is on the fly coaching up a young, talented kid that's got some mobility. DeVito's not real big, doesn't have a big arm, but he can move. And I think this is just, you have to think long and hard if you're the Patriots and you hire a new coach, or you're the Raiders. We'll see what they do there with Antonio Pierce. Chicago, if they hire a new coach. Tampa, if they hire a new coach. Man, you really got to think twice about hiring a defensive guy. Tommy DeVito is not talented enough to move that offense up and down the field off a pretty talented Green Bay defense with a defensive coach. I know I've been banging on this forever, but I'm a huge Daboll fan. I mean, look at Buffalo. They have no offense. It's regressed terribly. I mean, what happened to Stephon Diggs? What happened to Gabe Davis? They don't throw the ball down the field anymore. With the strongest arm in the league, Josh Allen. Sean McDermott, defensive coach. All right, enough. Nice win for the Giants. I thought that game, sometimes sports gives you gifts. I mean, like when you watched, Buffalo, Kansas City, you would expect that would be a good game. We occasionally get games. We know they're going to be good, and they're good. But when you go into this game tonight and I'm thinking, I want to watch Miami. Ugh. And I'm thinking, just Jordan Love, Tommy DeVito, give me something here. Give me something. I was entertained for 3.5 hours. How about that? Way to go. Pasta Fazool for everybody. In the NBA, the games can change in an instant, but no matter how the action unfolds, you know that DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered. This week, new customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets by just betting $5 on basketball. How good of a deal is that from DraftKings Sportsbook? Win or lose, you get the instant W. Instant. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Please use the code Colin, COLIN. New customers, $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5. The code is Colin, COLIN. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app, code Colin. The crown is yours. All right, I want to talk about the Shohei Ohtani deal for the Dodgers. There's not a lot that gets, once you're a syndicated radio host or a TV host, it's hard, whether you're on First Take, Undisputed, my show, it's hard to talk baseball. It's twice as long as the NBA regular season, which is too long. And so when you're doing a national show, right? When you're doing a local show, if you're Mike Felger in Boston, you can talk about baseball you want. If you're Michael Kay in New York, talk baseball you want. If you're in St. Louis, Detroit, even Los Angeles, I listen to shows. They talk baseball. But on a syndicated level, it's very hard. It's a very regional sport. There's very few stars, and there's no urgency. Shohei Ohtani is the exception. We probably talked about him on the herd about 6 or 7 times this year. But, I saw a lot of pushback because of the deferred payments the Dodgers creatively have used for Mookie Betts. I think Freddie Freeman and now Shohei Ohtani, which allows them to be viable now and competitive now and defer those payments down the road. And those players, when they move out of California, Shohei Ohtani doesn't have to pay that 13.3% of California tax if he moves somewhere else in America post-baseball career. But don't blame the Dodgers for being creative. And I've said this. So I lived out east for 10 years. I have a place on the beach in Rhode Island. I absolutely love it. I loved so much. I love the people. I love the tradition, the boarding schools, just Nantucket, the churches, the principled nature of the East Coast. There are so many cool traditions back there. And as a West Coast kid, I found it absolutely fascinating. But the West Coast is less parochial, more entrepreneurial, and many of the great innovations of our modern time are West Coast. I used to always joke, on the East Coast, once you get rich, you buy a nicer tie. On the West Coast, once you get rich, you'll never wear a tie again. It's just a different mindset. Neither one is necessarily better, although I do think innovations happen more often out West. Silicon Valley, out West. That iPhone you've got in your hand, Apple, that search engine you use, Google, Silicon Valley, the Zoom revolution, Netflix and chill, West, 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 West. And when you talk about sports, the Dodgers were just very creative. The 3-ball revolution, small ball out West. Chip Kelly, a play every 13 seconds out West. The West Coast offense, the Shanahan offense. The most innovative sports company of my life, arguably, Nike, Beaverton, Oregon. I just think the West sees the world differently, not necessarily better. It's not, however, steeped in tradition. And I think the Dodgers have always been a step ahead of a lot of East Coast teams on research and development and innovation with contracts. And it's clever. They were on this Ohtani deal for 2 years, and I said it repeatedly on Fox Sports Radio and FS1, is that Dodgers were front runners on this. I never thought there was a second team, but they didn't want to look like bullies as neighbors to the Angels. The Dodgers draw 10,000 more people per game than the second best attendance team in Major League Baseball. They are a revenue monster. They moved off Bellinger. They moved off Turner. They gave Kershaw a 1-year deal. They've been loading up Shohei Ohtani for over a year. And they have been looking and discussing this, I've been told, for 2 years. And so the deferred payment is a smart way to bring him in. It's not going to end Major League Baseball. Jesus. Why was it okay for the Yankees, 15, 20 years ago in the hot stove league, the Yankees and the Red Sox, to buy all the players? I didn't hear anybody out east complaining then. So why is it bad for the Dodgers to defer payment as a revenue machine now? It's not. There's just a percentage of sports fans who don't like change. I mean, transfer portal. It's the end of college football. Really? Did you see the 3 Heisman finalists? All transfer portal players. Did you see the ratings in college football? It was the most watched college football season ever. Remember when Pac-12 dissolved, going to the Big Ten, it's going to ruin the sport. Next year, we'll set television records. I've just learned over time. In the East Coast, it's more provincial. It's more about tradition. That tradition is awesome, from the churches to the boarding schools to the law firms to Wall Street. A little tinge of jealousy when I went out east for a decade. I loved it. I would go on these long drives through Connecticut and New York, and we'd go to these, almost like castles and these prep schools. And our kids didn't go to any of them, but I thought it was amazing. And it's just something that is so unique to the Northeast part of the country. I love it. Still go there every summer. Love it. But I think sometimes it can hold you back in life if you're looking in the rearview mirror. And the Dodgers deserve credit. And I think sports is better when we're innovating. I don't care if it's Bill Walsh's West Coast offense or Shanahan's offense or Chip Kelly no-huddle football, Eric Coryell with Dan Fouts. I'm all for new stuff. It helps us grow. And the Dodgers deserve credit. Nobody out east was complaining when the Yes Network was a decade ahead of every other cable sports regional entity, and they were just buying the best players. Everybody just embraced it in New York. The Dodgers have more money. They're more aggressive. They're a step ahead of other teams in their R&D, and good for them. Ohtani is a remarkable player. He is, I think, the only player in baseball that is a regular topic for me. I'm the ultimate baseball casual, but you could see this thing coming from a mile away. You can criticize the Angels for not getting anything for Ohtani. And I certainly think they were never a viable contender. They just don't have the stadium revenue or the TV revenue to be able to pay that kind of money. And everybody knew a year ago it was going to be a $500-600 or more $1 million deal. But Ohtani gave the Angels hope and optimism, and they haven't had a lot of that in the last decade. So be it. Angels lost, Dodgers win. I don't think it's the end of baseball. I think the Braves and the Astros will remain viable. The Yankees had an off year. They'll be fine. The well-run teams, will be competitive, as always. Very hard to buy a World Series. Ask the Mets and ask the Padres.